we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning.
What's going on, everybody? Today, I want to talk about Trump getting annoyed at Iran and Israel, but seemingly even more annoyed at Israel for what looks like really the first time that Trump has broken with them, if this is indeed real. But anyway, I did a little clip on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok about this. And one of the top comments on Instagram was, "Anomaly, you got to go live and talk about this." And I was like, "You're right. I really do got to talk about this. I can't let a day like this pass." So God bless you guys. Dream Rare podcast starts now. And at the end, we're also going to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene mentioned something with JFK Jr. and how she believes that he was essentially assassinated for trying to stop Israel from having a nuclear program. And she said, should I be concerned with my life and should Trump be concerned with his life? Which is a pretty wild thing for somebody in Congress to say. So we got to cover it. We got to talk about it. Dream Rare Podcast, Rare Edition starts right now.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, Facebook? What's going on, Rumble? Let's get right into it and let's talk about it. But I do want to play the video that I made for Instagram, TikTok, etc., because I think it covers some interesting angles of this. But we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks Trump's relationship with Israel, the donors, the fact that Trump's turning against Thomas Massie, etc. And for the first time in a long time, or perhaps the first time ever, Trump seems annoyed at Israel because he feels like they were the ones who really broke the ceasefire agreement. And I do have this to say before I play the clip. You know, a lot of people on social media, it's like a choose your own adventure where if you're on X or you're on Facebook, everybody just thinks they're right? No matter what side of the equation you're on, you love Trump, you're skeptical of him, you're skeptical of Israel, you like Israel, you think they're our greatest ally. Everybody, it's like a book where you could choose your own adventure and everybody's so convinced that they're right all the time. And I find it funny. After Trump announced the ceasefire, everybody was acting like it was the Super Bowl. And they were like, apologize if you ever challenged Trump at all or you ever said anything negative about Trump. You have to apologize. And then you had people like Rob Schneider who were skeptical of the war. He started like tweet. He's like, I'm so sorry. I was wrong, Trump. I was wrong. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, ask AI or do a Google search or research, whoever you want to trust. See how many times that ceasefires have been broken. I'm not trying to be like the bearer of bad news, but when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, they've had a bunch of ceasefires that fell through. Israel's probably broken dozens or hundreds. It depends where you look. I've seen different reports. So I'm like, yeah, of course. And I'm sure Iran has broken some too, or if they haven't, they did recently. You get what I'm saying. It's like I wasn't trying to sit there, but I was just laughing when everybody online was like, see, I told you so. You need to apologize. You need to apologize. I'm like, you know, we're going to wake up to some situation where, you know, it's already over because that's likely. I'm not trying to, you know, wish for it, but I feel like if there were betting odds, it would be like 99.9% chance that this ceasefire doesn't like last forever. I hope it does, but all I'm trying to say is I found it hilarious that people were like, are you going to apologize? Are you going to apologize for what? For doing journalism? For doing accurate reporting? I don't know. I'm not going to. Why would I apologize? I don't get it. Are you going to apologize now that the ceasefire was already ruined? I mean, I've been reporting on the relationship and the leverage between Israel and America for 6 years now. And for the first time in probably his entire presidential run, Donald Trump is starting to echo things that I've said, which is like they're not listening to him. And there's going to be a lot said in this live stream, but let's just play this clip of how not only is Trump upset with Israel, that he feels like they aren't listening to him, which, by the way, if you listen to my show, I'm not going to predict the future, but I don't think Israel will ever listen to Donald Trump. I don't think they want to listen to Donald Trump, and I think that they want to control Trump. And if Trump ever does actually stand against him, let's just say this isn't theater, and Trump really is trying to be like, listen, this is what I want to do, they'll figure out a way to get Trump to do it, or they'll undermine him, or they'll do something probably that he doesn't want. Like, that's my official prediction. I don't see Israel ever stopping. Like, listen to Mark Levin, listen to what Mark Levin wants. To me, that's what Israel wants. So if Mark Levin's mad, then they're probably upset, and they'll figure out a way. They're not just going to be like, oh yeah, we'll just listen to Donald Trump and end this war that we've been wanting for decades now. And you know, yeah, that's not going to happen in my perspective. That's my guess. So anyway, here's the video I made and how Jewish News Syndicate, JNS, it's some big, Israeli Jewish media company. Their reporter is accusing Trump of being in bed with Qatar because Trump doesn't want to just let Israel bomb everybody that they want all the time. Here's what I made.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement, the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
It looks like the ceasefire is already being infringed upon, and Trump is not happy about it. You rarely see him question Israel, and I noticed a pattern. When he does, they don't like it very much. A journalist from the Jewish News Syndicate responded to his post where he said, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it's a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. And she said, someone's in bed with Qatar. Usually I see people say this to any American journalist or influencer who isn't completely compromised and actually prioritizes America. For years, they would use the term anti-Semitic or anti-Semite in order to smear these people, but now they've been recently doing this. They must be working with Qatar.
When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then they are anti-Semitic. And the organization is strong and has a lot of money. And the ties between Israel and the American Jewish establishment are very strong. And they are strong in this country. As you know, they have power, which it's okay, they're talented people.
And I never thought I'd see the day that they accused Donald Trump of doing that because, of course, Donald Trump has been a great ally to Israel. But this is something I've learned and lots of people have learned. It doesn't matter how much you do. It'll never be enough. And if you don't do every single thing that they want you to do and you try to be the president of the United States, not the president of their country, they have multiple ways to smear you, make you look crazy, call you names, and call you false labels in order to try to get leverage over the United States. Let me know what you think in the comment section. God bless you. Thanks for listening. So it's interesting that Trump, for the first time pretty much ever, has been like, yo, Israel's not listening. Israel's doing this. Like he kind of sounded like Tucker Carlson there, like, or probably even further than Tucker Carlson. And then the response from a lot of people in the media and pro-Israel was just like either, I mean, I guess some people that are pro-Trump, they're not really saying much, but in the news, they said that he was in bed with Qatar. As I said in that video, for decades now, probably even longer than that, they use the term anti-Semitic, anti-Semitism, or anti-Semite to smear anybody and make you look crazy if you're going to oppose what they want you to do. And I don't think it's been working recently because since the war broke out with Palestine and there's been tens of thousands of civilians and they really lost the public support, the word anti-Semite doesn't hit that hard anymore because they call the entire left anti-Semitic. They call anybody on the right who knows what they're doing anti-Semitic. So like it doesn't like register like it used to. They used to use, historical things to guilt people and shame people into silence. Now it's not working. So they switched to this like Qatar angle where all the people that are super loyal to Israel and have more loyalty to Israel than they do America, they use Qatar. They're like Candace Owens is working for Qatar. Tucker Carlson's working for Qatar. The Hodge twins are working for Qatar. And it's like now they're even saying Trump is working for Qatar. So they have no shame in their smear tactic to try to use these sort of exaggerations or lies in order to get you to, do what they want you to do. With that being said, I wanted to say, like, with Qatar and Israel, like, they're both technically our allies. So I find it pretty fascinating. Like, you guys got to let me know in the comment section, like, why do pro-Israel people hate Qatar so much? Because America funds Israel. America helps Israel. America gives Israel weapons, and America has a base in Qatar. So Qatar's are literally our strategic ally. I mean, I'm guessing Qatar's a powerful nation that probably wants to end the war or something. Like, why would they be so mad at Qatar and blaming Qatar all the time? Like, I don't know enough about Qatar to really know their complete influence, but I'm guessing that the Israelis and the people loyal to Israel are trying to create a rift between Trump and Qatar and America and Qatar, because they're the other ally in the region that America works with that probably doesn't fully agree with Israel on certain stuff. That's my guess. So I'll talk about it a little more at the end. I want to show the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing. Overall, I mean, there's multiple options, and a lot of people are pointing this out. This could be theater, right? I mean, at this point, you can't rule it out. I know I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but so many times, like, Trump's like, we're going to get peace, and then he uses that as a diversion so Israel can strike. So I would guess, like, nobody trusts anybody. Like, Israel doesn't trust them. You know, Iran doesn't trust Trump. Like, I don't trust anybody at this point. I'm not trying to act like I'm paranoid or something, but, you know, it's like, what is Trump doing this? Is he really frustrated with Israel? It's possible. I hope so, because, you know, Trump is the president of the United States, not Israel. So if he is starting to notice and feel what we've all noticed and felt, even like Tucker Carlson never used to talk about this. Now it's all that he talks about because he figured it out, or he realized that it was an issue, and he doesn't work for Fox News anymore, so he doesn't have to play stupid. It's like, it is a massive thing that everybody figures out at one point or another. And if Trump truly is America first, and if Trump truly is not totally compromised, then, you know, it's only a matter of time until he realizes that this country doesn't want him to stop the war. They want to follow through with the war and do what they've wanted to do for 30 years. If it's theater, which it could be, maybe it's just Trump reading the room, realizing that a lot of his fan base is starting to get upset with some of the actions that he's been doing and some of the stuff that he's been doing. So this is kind of a way to throw people off the trail, because even this morning he tweeted another thing, or posted on True Social another thing about Thomas Massie. And it's like, if Trump really is frustrated with them, then why would he be throwing out the candidate who's been talking about AIPAC and all of these organizations for a long time now? So I'm not, you know, I don't know what I think. I mean, I like, once again, with Trump, you always like hope, you know, because he's an interesting character. You never know if it's like ego, if it's just he's stubborn, if he, you know, he's clearly taking money. So I have my opinions on like who he's working for, and I talk about it all the time. But you know, something about Trump, you always just kind of like hope, like maybe he is, you know, even people like Tucker Carlson used to work for Fox News and CNN, and now he seems to have had an awakening, or realizing that he was wrong when he used to push the war. So we're all kind of like hoping, even, you know, some people just literally hate Trump, but it's like, even me, who I don't trust Trump, I don't really like Trump anymore. It's like, I am hoping that he does have this awakening, because no matter how pro-Israel he is, no matter how much he helps them, no matter how much he supports them, it's never going to be enough. If there's ever a time that Trump wants to do his own thing that Israel doesn't want him to do, they're going to freak out. I know this. Everybody knows this, you know, and this is my, you know, friendly thing. If somebody lives in Israel, or you're Israeli, or you're pro-Israel, or whatever, I don't care, because I like everybody, but it's not a really good strategy. Like, I'm not sure what you're going for, but it's like, for me, I never disliked the country. I was pro that country. I agreed with Dennis Prager and stuff, and all I did was ask a few questions, and then everybody freaked out at me, called me anti-Semitic a million times. It's like, if you don't fully in lockstep, if you're not like everything Israel wants you to believe and everything Israel does, like you have to do that, or they'll just eventually call you Qatar or an anti-Semite. Like, for me, they think I think more things than I do, just because I disagree with a few things. But for example, like, I'm not one of these people that's against them or thinks they can't exist or any of this stuff. I know there are psychos out there and people out there, but for me, I'm just like, even if I supported you or whatever, it's like, maybe you could dial back on just like the slaughtering children and women, and they'll be like, blood libel, blood libel. It's like, you can't do anything. You have to literally just be like, Israel's our greatest ally. They're the greatest country ever. They never make mistakes. They're perfect people. They never should have self-accountability, because self-accountability and self-awareness is anti-Semitism. And, you know, they're the most moral army in the world. Like, if you don't say that, which if you look at the Republican Party, they're all like zombies. Like, I stand with Israel. I want them. They're the greatest nation. Like, if you're not that, even if you're Trump, 99% of the time you're loving them, you're showing them love. Even if for 1 second you're like, hey, could you not drop that bomb? They're like, anti-Semite, Qatar, anti-Semite. They use these words to control people outside of other ways they control people. But it's like, you know, if Trump truly is his own person who wants to help them 99% of the time, he's going to figure out that they don't care. They want 100% loyalty, 100% support, 100% control. And if you ever challenge them at all, they'll say blood libel, cutter, anti-Semite, or, a myriad of other words and terms that they use to try to silence you or shame you. And speaking of, this is my message to Christians who I think are just like completely unaware of this. Candace did an interview with a rabbi before she got fired from Daily Wire. I think his name was Rabbi Barclay. And she goes, since you keep calling me an anti-Semite, why don't you tell me what an anti-Semite is? And he goes, I'm glad you asked. Let's start there. And then he goes on this rant where he basically says 2,000 years ago, in the times of Jesus Christ, anti-Semitism started because Christians didn't like Jews and didn't want them to not worship Christ. It's like, do Christians even like the pro-Zionist Christians and the brainwashed Christians to like that worship the Star of Remphan and, think that like Israel's their greatest ally, even though they think Jesus is boiling in a hot like vat of poop or something, like that's in their Talmud. But in general, it's like, if you listen to the leaders that like Prager, promotes from you, they'll literally tell you that they think Christians were the original anti-Semites. Like the same way you look at everyone else and you're like, I hope they find Christ. Probably when people said that back in the day, you're like, yeah, find Christ. And they're like, oh, anti-Semitism. They think Christians are anti-Semites. They think you're the original anti-Semites. I'm not going to say everybody because I'm not trying to generalize, but it's like they literally hate you. It's like the dumbest relationship ever, where I'm like, you could like them and support them. That's fine. But why don't you ask them if they have a holy book that says that your Lord and Savior is boiling in hot poop for eternity, because they hate him literally that much? And then you ask them like about anti-Semitism. You're like, yeah, I'm a Christian Zionist and I hate the anti-Semites. Can you explain to me like the history of anti-Semitism? They'll be like, yeah, 2,000 years ago in the times of Jesus Christ, there were Christians who believed that Jesus and that they didn't like Jews. It's like, that's literally what they'll tell you. It's fascinating to me that people haven't figured this out, but more and more people are figuring it out, and hopefully Trump is one of them, because that would be awesome. But I'm not gonna assume it, because they lie so much at this point. If Trump truly does figure this stuff out, he needs to apologize to Thomas Massie and stop trying to kick him out of government with the Republican Jewish Coalition and AIPAC. Speaking of this stuff, Mark Levin and Marjorie Taylor Greene have been beefing, and Marjorie Taylor Greene felt like Mark Levin sent a veiled threat to her, and she responded pretty wildly. I'm going to read his post, and I'm not going to read her whole post, but I'm going to read the end of it because that's where this part is. I just don't feel like taking 5 minutes again to read these posts. Mark Levin said, MTG, God, are you stupid? And you keep banging your head against the wall. Thankfully, POTUS ignored you and hit the Iranian nuclear sites. You seem very upset about it. I'm not going away. You're on my radar. And she said, Marjorie said, there was a once great president that the American people loved, and he opposed Israel's nuclear program, and then he was assassinated. I'm praying for peace. I oppose war, including wars Israel wages. Should I feel that my life is in danger now too? What about President Trump, who strongly rebuked Israel this morning for continuing to attack Iran? So she said, there was once a great president that the American people loved. He opposed Israel's nuclear program, and then he was assassinated. I mean, I guess she didn't say Israel did it, but she did say he was opposed to it, and then he got assassinated. But what we do know, most people don't even know this, but we know the shooter that shot the shooter. I think his name was, that's really all the evidence we have, because Lee Harvey Oswald didn't really get to tell people what he was doing. And then he got shot by a name, Jack Ruby. In my view, the media changed his name to Jack Ruby as a nickname because his real name was Jack Rubenstein. And Jack Rubenstein told his rabbi, you could look at this up in mainstream reports, he told his rabbi that he essentially did it for the Jewish people. This is mainstream news. You could find this in The Forward, which is a Jewish publication. You could find this in other mainstream media. It's like, that's what he said he did. So I'm not saying that I don't really need to say anything. That's mainstream stuff. You could look it up yourself. And that is a piece of evidence that nobody seems that interested in, because, why would they be? So Marjorie said all of that because Mark Levin said some weird stuff to her. And, partially, I think you could say she was exaggerating, because Mark Levin he did say, like, you're on my radar. I have my eyes on you, which is a creepy thing to say. I don't think it's like a death threat or anything, but it definitely is like a veiled threat. Like, it's creepy, but I could see people that are saying Marjorie's exaggerating, which I also kind of think. But I guess here's what I will say. everybody that I know, like I know a lot of people in this movement, and I'm not trying to be rude, but pretty much like Fox News, which is obviously fake opposition media, CNN, which is obviously just terrible fake opposition media, they're all pushing this narrative of sleeper cells. And then like DC Drano saying sleeper cells, and Charlie Kirk is saying sleeper cells, and all these influencers that are, total frauds are just like sleeper cells, sleeper cells, sleeper cells. It's not, even if you're saying there's people in our country, it's not normal for everyone to have the same terminology. Like sleeper cells is not something that people use unless you're trying to like tell everybody that the world is like a video game. I understand it's a term, but what I'm trying to say is, what do you think the chances of CNN, Fox News, and all of the fakest influencers in unison saying the same exact term? Like, when is Fox News, CNN, and Republican influencers on the same page? Usually when it involves a war or a spending bill or something weird, maybe Operation Warp Speed, but generally, even Operation Warp Speed, most Republican influencers didn't agree with. So anytime CNN, Fox, and Republican influencers that I'm not really a huge fan of are saying a term in unison, I'm suspicious. I've said this in other live streams, but I'm just going to be clear. Obviously, Iran does not like the United States, and I'm not suggesting that leaving the border open was a good idea. It's a horrible idea. Biden is a psychopath. Mayorkas is beyond a psychopath. The guy looks like Lord Voldemort, except like weirder, and he's a total fraud. And leaving the border open obviously opens us to terrorists. I'm not saying that that's not possible. Obviously, it is, and it's very plausible that that is a real thing. But also, you listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene, you listen to Trump, you listen to Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, other people. I also think that something like the Levin affair is a possibility. If you don't know what the Levin affair was, the Levin affair was an attempted false flag by Israel to basically blow up some sort of hotels or buildings or libraries, and then blame it on Egyptians and Muslims and communists in order to get us to like fight a war that they wanted us to fight, except it got seen. Everybody talks about the USS Liberty. Some people say it was a mistake, but Israel essentially like blew up our boat, and people think they tried to kill them all completely, but some of them survived. They talk on podcasts all the time and nobody talks about them, but people think that the USS Liberty attack, where Israel attacked our ship, was a false flag. It's to be debated. I'm not acting like I know all the answers. Could it have been a mistake? Sure. Could it have not been a mistake? Sure. Do I think it was a mistake personally? No, but I could have bias there. And then you can go to other events that you're not really supposed to talk about at all, and then people have suspected that they've done that. But obviously, I'm not suggesting that they have. I'm just saying a lot of people are starting to question a lot of things, because when you're not allowed to question things that are true, then you start getting really suspicious. So in general, just like there could be Iranian sleeper cells in America, what Marjorie was saying and what Trump is saying, to some extent, I obviously do agree with, or to a full extent, because I do believe that, and I'm not trying to be rude, because there's a lot of countries like this, and I'm not acting like Iran's great. I'm not a fan of Iran. I'm not a fan of Palestine. I'm not like a super fan of other countries. I don't care. Russia, don't care about it. I'm American. With that being said, I do think that Israel and Israelis and people in America that have dual loyalty to Israel or sole loyalty to Israel, I do find them profoundly selfish. I do think that they are so self-centered and so selfish. They think that their race, their ethnicity, their country is so much better than everybody else's, and that everybody else is inferior to some extent. And I'm not saying everybody feels that way. It's not true. But I do think there are a lot of people out there that feel that way. And I think that they want this war with Iran. They want regime change. They want Trump to go even further. And I think that Trump is totally sold out and compromised. I hope he's not, but I do think he is. And I don't think he's going to really do anything. But let's just say Trump isn't completely compromised. He's only 90% compromised, or he's been playing politics, and eventually he wants to be like, listen, this is not better for America. Personally, I do believe that country will do whatever they have to do in order to get Trump to disagree, with what he once thought, or agree with the Mark Levins over the Steve Bannons. I believe that. I'm not trying to be rude. It's not hateful. I just believe that country and the people that are pulling the strings there, they are willing to do literally anything in order to get their agenda satisfied. And I think that if Trump were to say no, which he did for the first time today and this morning, you start seeing some tweets. And I'm not trying, there's psychopaths in America that say stuff. So I'm not trying to be like a hype beast and be like, oh, because one person says something, everyone feels that way. I don't believe that. But I saw some pretty crazy stuff, like people talking about like dropping bombs on Washington and then deleted the tweet, like, haha, I was just kidding. And it's like, it's not a joke, but even if it was a joke, it's a sick joke. And that's only one person. But I do think that just based off of experience, I've noticed this about people that are pro-Israel and people that are like, Israel first. It doesn't matter how much you like them. Like when I started getting called anti-Semitic and blacklisted and called all sorts of names and far right in 2019, I was like way nicer than I am now. I never raised my voice. I never cursed. Like Charlie Kirk's crazier than me. Like he yells and gets all mad and stuff like I do. I was like the nicest guy in the world. I think I'm still really nice, but I'm just saying, like, even then I was younger. I was like, I was like harmless. And I just had a few questions. I was like, why are they passing anti-Semitism speech laws? It's like the wrath of the people that are pro-Israel that comes down on you. It's like they blacklist you. They talk trash about you. I already know people behind the scenes that have told people don't have this guy on the podcast. This was all because I disagreed with Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro. And I knew that Trump and Ron DeSantis were passing anti-Semitism hate speech laws. So it's like, even if you're pro-Israel, you're against Palestine, you support Trump, you support PragerU, you think Ben Shapiro's right, and you simply just say, I'm pro-Israel, I don't care what you do, I think Palestine's bad, but do you think speech laws should be passed into America for Israel? Even that alone, they hated me. So what do you think they're going to think of Trump if he says to stop bombing? Like, you telling them to stop bombing, they hear it as like, oh my gosh, you hate me, you're anti-Semitic, you're Qatar. Like, they hate anybody that disagrees with them slightly. And like I said, I found that out the hard way. And I can't harp on this enough because it's one of the most underreported things in Republican media, because if it was reported as much as all those goofballs on Fox News tell you everything else, every Republican would be furious that this is happening. But they're passing international anti-Semitism laws that mention the name Jesus because they hate Jesus. They mention Jesus because they think of the Christians as the original anti-Semites. So it's like they're passing anti-Christian, anti-Christ speech laws into America that mention your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, that say that you can't say that they have dual loyalty, even though a lot of people do. Not everyone does, but some people do. You can't say that they use power in politics and have leverage over politicians. Tell me you have leverage over politicians without telling me. If Saudi Arabia tried to pass a speech law in America that said I can't say Saudis have leverage over American companies, then I would know Saudi controlled America. And to be quite clear, Saudi Arabia is, a massive influence in sports. They're taking over boxing. They're taking over even part of the MMA because, it's owned by Ari Emanuel. But at the same time, Turk al-Sheikh has crazy oil money. But at least Turk al-Sheikh is not passing hate speech laws into my country saying I can't say he has power. Like, he does have power. Everybody knows it. I would be just as annoyed as Saudi Arabia if they tried to pass Saudi Arabian speech laws in America. But that's what Israel seems to have leverage over, like most countries. They're passing Argentina. They're passing America. They've been passed into Tennessee. They've been passed into Texas. They've been passed into Florida. DeSantis is going crazy over these anti-Semitism bills. It's like, why would I, it's the most underreported thing in Republican media. And all it takes is once you realize that they're doing that, they all hate you, which to me then shows that a lot of these people secretly support these laws. If they're against these laws, why isn't Ben Shapiro talking about it all the time? Why isn't Charlie Kirk talking about it all the time? Matt Walsh knows about it. Matt Walsh is becoming really outspoken. It seems like any day he's going to get Candace Owens from Daily Wire because he's a real one. But it's like, how come every Republican person that's pro-Israel isn't freaking out about these hate speech laws being passed in America? Because they agree with them, or low-key, they just want to make it seem like something's not happening when it is, when in reality, if every Republican was pro-free speech and wasn't against special hate speech laws for one race, one religion, and one foreign country to get special criticism carve-outs, they would all make sure they'd use their leverage to get it out of government. But it's like the entire Republican Party besides Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene is in on it. And look who's getting kicked out. Trump is trying to work with them to kick out Thomas Massie. Marjorie is, God knows what's going to happen, because I know like Trump likes Marjorie Taylor Greene, but let's just see if Trump tries to kick her out of Congress. There's two things in common, or one thing in common with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie. One is they're one of the only Republicans that doesn't take money from AIPAC. Literally one of the only ones. I think there's hundreds of people in Congress, and I think there's under 20 people that haven't taken money from AIPAC. So that just happens to be a coincidence. And it's funny because anybody who doesn't take money from AIPAC, they speak out against the hate speech laws. They speak out against the forever wars. Like, am I supposed to believe that's just a pattern? It would be like if everybody in Congress, like 95% of Congress, was taking money from Big Pharma, and the 5% who wasn't taking Big Pharma money was willing to speak out against vaccine mandates. It's like, am I supposed to not notice that pattern and be like, oh, wait, they're not sold out. They just really like Big Pharma. They're not sold out. They just really like that country at the behest of our country. That's the whole problem everybody has. And Trump is starting to figure it out too. It's like, dude, I don't care what countries people like. If you're pro-Russia, pro-Ukraine, pro-Japan, pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, pro-France, you like Canada, you like Mexico, whatever. But if you like these countries so much that you're more loyal to these countries than America, and you're willing to compromise and hurt America and hurt the taxpayers and hurt the citizens of this country and use us as a meat shield for a war, knowing that it's not good, just basically using us as a sacrificial lamb, that's where we have the issue. I don't care if people like a country. I've just noticed, this is just a pattern I've noticed. Just like when I've noticed these like Mexican protesters in LA, it's like you're waving a Mexican flag because you don't want people to get sent back to Mexico. People say, if you like it so much, why don't you go back? Because they want to be in America because we have a good economy. I also notice I'm not anti-Mexico. I like Mexico, but to be honest, I don't want to live in Mexico. No offense to Mexico, but I don't even really like vacationing there that much. I don't feel that comfortable there. So, especially because I do news reporting, it's like I don't trust Mexico. I don't want to be Mexico. I don't want to live there. But I like Mexican culture. I like Mexican people. I just wish, their government could get it together a little more like our government could. But that's fine. It's not the people's fault. It's not the culture, the food, the music. I like Mexican culture. I just don't want to live in Mexico. And with California, I noticed that the protesters, they don't care that the city sucks. So it's like, why do I care about your little protest when the city sucks? Like, I want Los Angeles to not look like a third world country. You don't mind it looking like a third world country. That's not a problem to you. So we don't see the same. It's like with pro-Israel people in America, I've noticed this thing. It's not that you like Israel. I don't care. It's just like, if anybody notices anything, you just use the word anti-Semitism and Qatar. It's like, that's the annoying part. If you like Israel, I don't dislike Israel. I just think that I don't know how to say this politically correct, so I'll just say what I'm thinking. I think it's okay to be selfish. I think it's okay to love your race. I think it's okay to love your ethnicity, your religion. I think it's okay to like your country more than everyone else. But I do feel like they're such a selfish country where it's like, if they can't just totally get whatever they want whenever they want, then they freak out. So it's like, I don't know. You got speech laws in my country. You get the most foreign aid. You get weapons. Basically, every politician says that they're a Zionist. Kamala Harris wanted to do the same thing Trump wanted to do. Joe Biden calls himself a Zionist. AIPAC brags that pretty much every politician has been working with them. Every major politician, they have a whole video about it where they're saying every president, every vice president, it doesn't matter. It's not the president, it's the policy. So it's like, what don't you have? You get speech laws in my country. You get the most foreign aid. You get weapons. We've helped you in wars for 20, 30 years. And God forbid Trump doesn't do what you want one time, you freak out. I'm sorry, but I've noticed a pattern. I'm not going to say everybody in America is going to do this, but if Trump said, I'm going to end the war, I want the Iran regime to stay, and I think Israel needs to chill a little bit with Palestine. Watch how they react. Because, by the way, I'm not a big fan of Palestine. I obviously don't like Hamas, all these stupid talking points that they have. But, if only people really knew what Israel was doing in Palestine, they're tricking people with Fox News and fake opposition media to make you think that these people are all bad and they're all terrorists and they're all this and that. It's like, if you only knew what they were doing to people there, it's sickening. It's sickening. And just because I say that that's sickening, just like Theo Vaughn and everybody else with a conscience and a brain, it doesn't mean that I'm downplaying what happened in October. I'm not. That's also sick and disgusting. It's disgusting. But just because someone does that and you just start doing it back like times 1,000, me personally, I'm not in government, so I don't have to make tough decisions, but I don't blame citizens of any country. I don't blame citizens of Israel. I don't blame citizens of Iran. I don't blame citizens of America. That's Bin Laden logic. Bin Laden blew up the 9/11 towers, and he wrote a manifesto, and he said, I'm doing this because the American taxpayers are funding Israel, which is killing Palestinians. People in the Twin Towers are not responsible for what Israel or the American government are doing. That was innocent people that were killed by Bin Laden, allegedly. And I don't agree with his logic at all, but that's the logic that Israel has. And a lot of people have. It's like, well, you did that, or your government did that, So we're just going to go haywire on all the civilians. And, we're going to have people on television brainwash people into thinking that every woman and child is a problem and that it's okay if we just slaughter them. I mean, I'm sorry, but it is a genocide. I didn't use that term at the beginning because obviously I think liberals exaggerate. I think right-wingers exaggerate. And I thought, to be honest, for the first year or so, I thought it was an exaggeration. I'm like, oh, that they're just exaggerating because Israel's killing a lot of people and they're just saying it's a genocide. I'm pretty sure they're trying to genocide the people there. I'm pretty sure they're trying to kill as many women and children and people that they can and get away with in order to make sure that the future generation is literally dead so they can, eventually. I mean, I think they're doing controlled demolition on Gaza. I think they're purposely knocking it all down in order to rebuild and steal it and take it. Look at the strikes on Iran, the precise strikes. These are not precise strikes in Palestine because they're trying to genocide the people there and take the land. Maybe you believe that that's a good thing. Maybe, I'm not saying it is. And I think it's pretty insane to say that, but I'm giving people grace to be like, it's okay to control demolition in that place and just kill tens of thousands of women and children because I hate those people. I'm not saying that that's right, but it's like that at least is more honest than acting like it's not happening and it's self-defense. It's far beyond that. And me personally, I hope that they eventually stop and chill out, but I don't believe, let's just say they completely genocide the people of Palestine. They're completely dead or they have to leave the country, which is probably what's going to happen. And then you go to Iran. They regime change Iran. Do I think that Israel's going to stop now and be like, oh, look, we're at peace? No, I feel like personally, they're always freaking out about everybody all the time. It's like they're never going to stop because they're just like, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. I see them do it in America all the time. Like, oh, this person said this person said that. You mean the truth? That person said the truth? That bothers you? The truth does? I don't want hate speech laws in my country. Does that bother you? Or am I a slave to your country? Is my country a colony? I'm not allowed to be an American citizen who was born on the First Amendment and say, I don't agree with an international definition of anti-Semitism that you guys invented in the 2010s that says that I can't say you control banks and media, and I can't say that Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro have dual loyalty, and I can't say, I can't talk about the death of Jesus because that's classic blood libel according to the international definition. Yeah. That's what type of ally is that? I mean, it's annoying, if they just handled their business in the Middle East and didn't want our taxpayer money, our weapons and our president and our speech laws and, our entire country to bend over backwards for them, then it's like, I feel a lot differently about it. There's a lot of wars going on in Africa and other countries that I don't even know about. So it's like, it doesn't directly impact me as much. I'm not saying it's great, but everyone's like, why don't you talk about this war? I don't know. How much money are they taking from America? Do they have speech laws in my country? Do they brag about lobbying all my politicians and then lobby my politicians to pass a law to say that I can't say that they're lobbying politicians? Is that country doing that? Because let me know, because then I'll make 5 videos about it as well. But until I see that happening in the other wars we're involved in, then I guess I just don't feel the same way. And this could be theater. This could be Trump head faking. This could be Trump trying to please the base, or this could be Donald Trump coming to the conclusion that Tucker Carlson and many others have come to. It's never going to be enough. You could literally do everything that they want, and it's never enough. They're always going to hate you.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. When I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning.
And Trump, there's a video I've played before in other videos where Trump is speaking about the Adelson family. Now it's Miriam Adelson that controls the wealth. And he said, they're in the White House more than anybody else. This is what Trump said. He said, they're in the White House more than anybody else who doesn't work there. And they're always asking for things for Israel. When I do something for Israel, he said, they say it's never enough. It's never enough. And he goes, geez, will you relax? I just did something for you. I just gave you the Golan Heights. So it's like, when I said this 2 years ago, they said it's the most anti-Semitic thing they've ever heard. But Donald Trump admitted it on stage. He said, they're in the my biggest donors are in the White House more than anybody else. They're always asking for things for a foreign country. And as soon as I do one thing, they want another thing. Will you relax, please? Basically. And now he's saying this. He's going to figure it out, man. Or he's just a total puppet. I'm not really sure. And as I'm waiting for people to give me their opinions, I'm going to read a few. A lot of people are like, are you sorry? Or like, now that Trump's trying to do a ceasefire, or like, let's just say he really is annoyed. Doesn't that prove he's not a puppet? All the evidence so far that I have before literally this morning prove that he is a puppet. He is controlled, and him trying to kick Thomas Massie out of government is unforgivable. So there's like three options, right? One is that Trump is sold out and he should be challenged, right? And people should do journalism and news analysis and challenge him on things he sold out on. One of the things is like Trump doesn't care. He's going to do it anyway, in which, you should still say that. Another one is like Trump does care, and he's just playing that. Like, no matter what he's doing or what he is or isn't doing, I feel like it doesn't change what I'm doing. Like, if Trump is sold out, it should be spoken about. If he isn't sold out and he listens to his people and he just plays both sides, then I think that we do have an impact, and people voicing their opinions like Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson, etc., show Trump that it's really unpopular. Like, he doesn't want to lose Steve Bannon. He doesn't want to lose Jack Posobiec. He doesn't want to lose Alex Jones. I mean, obviously some people don't respect Alex Jones, but Alex has been a huge Trump fan. So, it's like either Trump isn't going to listen to us and he's sold out and it makes sense to challenge him anyway, or he does listen and it's good to speak out. Like in no scenario do I feel bad for doing good journalism and news analysis, because I feel like a lot of people in politics have become, and I've talked about this for 4 years now, maybe 6 years. They've become professional sports fans. Like, they've made millions of dollars being like, I like Trump. I'm pro-Trump. I trust Trump. It's an interesting profession. I'm not going to knock it. It's better than working a real job. But like, I can't really relate to that. Like what Cat Turd does, where he's just like a Trump fan. I don't know what it's like to just make money just like sucking up to Trump. Like, it's crazy to me that anybody even like supports you that much. I get it because you're like a figurehead, but for me, like, I put in sweat and tears, and I don't know if I cried, but sweat and a lot of time making hundreds of journalistic news reports. Like, if you look at my reports from 2016 until now, whether it's in Trump's favor, whether it's challenging Trump, whether it's challenging the lockdown, whether it's challenging Bill Gates or Fauci, I'm not doing basic BITCH reporting or like basic fanboy stuff. Like, I'm doing very comprehensive stuff that's taken me hours to do, where I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I am. I think if this was a fair world, I would have won a Pulitzer. I feel like my reporting during COVID was really top tier. And the fact that I did it without Fox News, without any, people helping me edit, like the amount of content that I put out and great journalistic reporting and video reporting that I put out, nobody's done what I've done without 7-8 people working for them. So it's like, that's how I've made my living. I'm making my living. Like, you look at my Thomas Massie report, even though I have an opinion, I'm showing you 5-6 clips. Like, it's high level stuff. The only one that ever I looked at and was like, oh, that person is on this level or perhaps above me to some extent, was Tucker Carlson. And obviously he had better production and, he did some interesting stuff, but it's like Tucker was the only person in news that I was ever impressed with. I was like, that's a good report. Everyone else, they're not doing anything. They're just like annoying and fanboying. So it's like there's people that have created a living just sucking up to Trump. They don't have an opinion of their own. And then they're like, does Candace Owens regret? Even Steven Crowder's like, Candace Owens is wrong. I mean, I'm not going to say she's right about everything, because she does say some stuff that I don't think and say, and she definitely goes like off on her own. And it's like that she's allowed to do that. But like, why would Candace Owens feel bad? Like, because Candace Owens challenged Donald Trump and said stuff, and now Trump is essentially sounding like Candace Owens today. Like, why would Candace Owens apologize for Trump sounding like Candace Owens? If anything, it proves that she's either had an impact or Trump is ending up in the same place that she ended up by saying that Israel's not listening and they're going to try to undermine Trump's peace plan. Like, isn't that what Candace has been saying for 5 years? And now that Trump says it, Steven Crowder thinks that proves Candace wrong. Like, people are so dumb, but at least Steven Crowder does comedy and reporting. Some of these people on X and Facebook, they're literally professional fans. Like, they don't do anything. They don't say anything. They've never done a report. Even Candace does documentaries. She did a vaccine documentary. She did a BLM documentary. She did a Macron's wife is a tranny documentary. She does like reports that I watch and I'm like, dang, that was really good. Like, that's very comprehensive. The nerve of people that don't do anything, like they don't do journalistic reports. They don't do news analysis. They've never done any sort of video journalism. And they're like, Like, you think we should all just sit on Twitter like cat turd, poop your pants, sit in a computer chair and just be like, Trump is my hero? It's like, you're so lucky that you make a living doing this. You're so lucky. You know what I'm saying? You literally just have to sit there and be like, I like my president and I think he has a plan. It's like, cool. While you were doing that in 2019 and 2020, I was reporting against the lockdowns. What were all these morons doing then? They're like, Trump has a plan. Bro, I'm seeing the connections between him and Bill Gates and his donor money and the fact that he offered Bill Gates a White House position. And now Trump is buying Pfizer doses and the GOP is like, we just bought 100 million Pfizer doses. That's socialism. Pfizer couldn't have pulled this off without Trump and Biden's socialism. Obviously, the mandates are sickening, but just because mandates happen doesn't mean what Trump did isn't socialism. Like, Donald Trump literally was like, I'm buying hundreds of millions of doses. Why don't you let Pfizer in a free market just sell a bunch of doses? Because nobody wants to buy that crap. Only liberals would have bought that crap. Only the government buying it and giving it to you for free for a smoothie and a shake is making people want to do it. And the fact that they're basically getting blackmailed by their their work. It's like, that's why people are going to get it. Without Trump's socialism of Pfizer socialism, Moderna socialism, and Johnson & Johnson socialism, this pandemic couldn't have taken off. Or at least I wouldn't say pandemic, but lockdown scheme. He's in on it. Cat turd and these morons never tell you that Trump's in on it. They're like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, don't talk about people like me that do video journalism and news analysis. We've earned our living. But I wish I could just sit there and drool and make money. It's like, dude, I got to put in hours and put together comprehensive analysis that I know is going to be unpopular because it's the right thing to do and it's true. And you get to just sit there and talk to like the dumbest, most brainwashed people and just rot their brain out and make money doing it. It's like, we're not in the same league, bro. It's like the NBA versus like a 70-year-old who poops his diapers and can't even make a shot on a Fisher Price basket. That's the comparison here. All right. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, time will tell what happens. I guess I'll just wrap up on this. I don't see anything that interesting. And, someone said you felt uncomfortable about what was in your chat, so you stopped the live stream. You could think that, but I really just didn't have the air conditioning on. And I had I'm not going to say a panic attack, but I got overwhelmed and I just shut it off. Bro, I've had the craziest things in my chat. People talking shit directly to me. I've never shut off a feed. It was literally, I was overheating and just panicking. I was like, I felt weird and I've had anxiety going live before, but it's it's so hot now. And I just was like, oh, maybe if I turn the AC off, then I could do this live stream and it won't make a lot of noise. And it just started getting so hot that I was freaking out. But that's literally why I did it. With that being said, we'll see what Trump does. It could be real, I guess, him actually feeling that they're undermining him. It could be a show. It could be just to please the base. It could be the base is having an effect on him. It could be a lot of things. I'm not ruling anything out because I don't trust any of these people, but I do find it interesting. And I mean, it's a good sign. I'm not going to ignore everything else he's doing because he said this morning. I liked it. I appreciated him being very honest about the situation. Love him or hate him, this is why people like Trump. He is the most honest politician we've had in the White House. I don't know about ever. I think Ron Paul and Thomas Massie are more honest than him, but in the White House, we've never had anything like it. So, he could be pump faking and just be a good actor, but we'll see. Time will tell. As long as you don't hero worship him, you'll be able to figure it out in a week or two. I hope the war ends. I'm praying for the war to end. I believe that there's people out there that don't want the war to end. They want regime change and they want Trump to do it. Does Trump want to do it? Does he have the power? Does he have the cards to actually say no to Israel? If Israel wants him to do it, only time will tell. Only time will tell. You can only hope for the best. Someone said, when can we expect the Trumpy Wumpy t-shirt? It's been created already. Once you see the design, you're going to crack up, but maybe 2 weeks. I would say a week, but I got 10 things to do. And the news keeps being interesting. I've been working since I woke up at 8 o'clock this morning, and I'm not going to complain about it, but it's been a crazy news day. So I've just been nonstop working. Appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And I do hope that Trump makes the right decision. And here's the thing. If Israel and Iran want to fight each other, I don't want that. I don't want them to fight each other. But if they want to fight each other, I mean, that's on them. I don't know. Do we have to help them? Do we have to bomb their stuff? Do we need to keep giving them aid? I don't know. And do they need to have speech laws in our country? Do they need to have Trump listen to everything they say? I don't think so. But if them and Iran want to fight, that's fine. But this is my personal guess. It's just a guess because it's hard to really tell. I don't know that they can beat Iran the same way they're beating up Palestinians without Trump. Like, Iran is a huge country. Iran is not weak. Iran is not broke. Like Palestine, it's like, dude, they're like screwed. They shared Israel with Israel when they're like, hey, you can come in. Slowly, Israel took over the country and they basically just got their land swiped. I mean, say what you want. That's what happened. And now it's like they have nothing. And I don't know exactly how it all happened, but they're 1/1000th as strong as Iran. So it's like doing that to Lebanon is a little bit easier, doing some strikes and stuff. Doing it to Palestine is easy. And I think, like, because of what Israel does, I think they're a little bit paranoid because it's like they strike them, they're fighting with them, they're doing this. It's like, is it going to stop with Iran? I don't think so, but I hope so. I hope it would. But can they beat Iran? Can you take on Iran? Can you fight them? I don't think they can. I mean, but maybe they can. Maybe they're so technologically advanced that they can beat Iran and regime change them without American help. But right now they're taking our taxpayer dollars and using our weapons. So you can almost guarantee it's not without our help. But even if they just had our weapons and our tax money, but not everything else, could they do it? I have no idea. But the thing is, I'm not going to say I don't care, but it's like, I don't think Iran needs to be regime changed. If Patrick Bet-David thinks so, because he's from there, and Mark Levin thinks so, and other people think so, okay, you could think that. I don't care. Like, maybe it would be better if they got a regime change, but can they do it naturally, or do they need to do it with American intervention? Because our track record sucks right now. And I don't know. I want to see American politicians fix America. I get why people feel this way, but I'm watching my cities get shittier, my country get shittier. It went from a high trust society when I grew up to a low trust society. All of our cities are completely trashed. The suburbs are getting shittier. Crime and theft is becoming more rampant. You know, it's like somebody the other day hit my car, you know, and did a hit and run. It's like I try to live in a high trust area that is supposed to be nicer than other places, and people are doing hit and runs. I would never do a hit and run to somebody, right? My car was in pristine condition. They smacked my car, didn't even leave their number. It's like, dude, this is annoying. I want to live in a community where everybody knows their neighbor and everybody looks out for each other. I don't want to, I mean, maybe that's utopian, but it's like even nice areas of this country are going to shit. Shitty areas are going to more shit. We're just importing the entire world. It's like we're turning into a foreign bazaar. You go to like a supermarket and it looks like you're in a foreign country, and then you're not allowed to talk about it. And then it's like, I don't care about what's going on with other countries that much. Like, yeah, I care about them. I don't want people to be hurt. I don't want Israelis and Palestinians and Iranians and Russians and Ukrainians to be hurt. If I had it my way, we'd be at peace. But my country's getting shittier, slower. And it seems like all of our allies are just using us. It seems like Israel's using us. It seems like Zelensky's using us. I don't see Zelensky and Netanyahu in America campaigning to fix our cities. I don't see him campaigning to clean up homelessness and clean up the streets. I don't think they give a shit about us, and I don't think they have to give a shit about us, but we should give a shit about us, because clearly I don't think any of our allies do. They're just like, how much money can we take? How many weapons can they take? They don't care if we fizzled up in 40 years and dried up completely. It's like, as long as they could get what they need out of us now, do they care? I mean, I've seen foreign governments write op-eds saying we should take in their refugees. Not only do they not care, but they're writing op-eds trying to flood our country with refugees, being like, America and Europe, you take them, not us. Oh, thanks. Thank you so much. Here's $3 billion more, and we need more hate speech laws in my country. So if anyone says that you're doing this, that should be known as like the worst kind of hate speech. It's like, yeah, that's not fair. So let's make America great again. Republicans have no plan on doing that. And I voted Republican, so I know what they're about. It's either Democrats open the border and destroy your country instantaneously, or Republicans slowly have no answer for what the Democrats doing, and your country still declines. So it's like either rapid decline or minimal decline. That's really the two options. And I saw, not to add on to this, but I am adding on to it, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Someone said, sorry, I hit your car, was late for work. Well, you're an asshole. Thank you for a $2 super chat. That's not going to pay for it, but whatever. In general, I'm sure it wasn't you. I saw a news article that said that some guy from Europe was essentially deported or like banned or arrested by ICE because or kicked out of the country by ICE because he had a JD Vance bald meme on his phone. And it's like, this is the stupid crap the Trump administration does. It's like, dude, that JD Vance meme is funny. I like JD Vance and I find that meme hilarious. And so does JD. That's grounds to throw somebody out of the country now. It's like everybody's got to be pro-Israel if they want to get into the country now. They're scanning people's social media and they're so paranoid about it. Even JD Vance memes are like getting people thrown out of the country. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, we got a million problems in our country, and throwing out people who have JD Vance memes is not the play. Someone said it's fake news. I mean, it's possible the guy's a shit lib and he's lying, but I don't know. It was a funny article. I'm not saying it's necessarily true, but I do know that they are deporting non-criminal people in the country who write Israel op-eds. So it's like, I know where their priorities lay, and it doesn't seem to align with mine. But God bless you guys. Have a beautiful day. Let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah, I'm going to have another video later this week. I couldn't help myself today. I woke up and I saw that video of Trump, and here's what I will say. Since I've been so critical of Trump recently, I do want to give him a compliment because it is true. Like, you just can't help sometimes but to think he's funny. There's just nobody like him, where like just everything he does is iconic. I always say Trump is like a mythical dragon, where it's like no matter, he always wins, even when he's wrong, even when he's lying, even when he sells vaccines, he somehow wins because he's not like a real person. He's like a mythical Pokemon card that's like holographic. And like, I wake up to like the funniest video I've seen. He's like, you know, Israel and Iran, they're both wrong, but Israel's really wrong because they really did the things. And then he goes, they've both been fighting for so long, they don't know what the fuck they're doing anymore. Like, it's like, dude, who doesn't like that? I don't even like Trump. He pisses me off, but it's like, darn it, I hate liking Trump again, because it's just like the guy's just got charisma, or as the youth calls it, riz. It's like, who else could pull that off, dude? Nobody could pull that. Nobody could be like, I'm sorry to curse, but I gotta say it because Trump said it. I'm just being like Trump. He's like, they've been fighting for so long, they don't even know what the fuck they're doing. And he goes off like he's like a diva, like he's like Richard Simmons after a workout. He's like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing anymore. And I'm like, based and Trump pilled with MAGA hat back on. I never had one, but you know, it's just like, it sucks, dude. I hate when Trump makes me want to like him again. I'm like, either he's the greatest puppet of all time, always just trying to lure me back in, or inside that very stubborn boomer brain of him that's taken so much donor money he can't even see straight anymore, there's a soul inside that Trump. There's a real American patriot inside that guy who sucked up so much Adelson donor money that he can't even figure out which country he works for. I don't know what it is, but you can't tell me in the comment section. Find me the biggest Trump hater that hates Trump even more than I dislike him, and tell me that wasn't a good video. It's just straight cinema. He's just like, listen, okay, I told him to stop. I said, you stop, okay? Stop the war. And okay, Iran, yeah, they're bad, but Israel dropped a big load. He's like, the biggest load I've ever seen. The biggest load I've ever seen Israel dropped on Iran. Okay, the biggest load. I'm telling you, it was like bonkers big. It's a bigger load than Lindsey Graham busts out when he's in a Tel Aviv or a Kiev hotel room. Okay, it's a big load. He dropped a big load, and I just don't know what Israel's doing. Okay, and Iran, Israel, they've been fighting for so many years. They don't know the fuck they're doing anymore. And I wake up to this at like 8:30 in the morning, and I'm like, based and Trump pilled? We trumping out this early in the morning? I haven't even got my morning coffee yet, and you already got me trying to Trump out after I just made a video. And then he posts another thing against Thomas Massey, like he's AIPAC. Like, after he does that, Trump is like, he's like a Charizard. He's like a Japanese Charizard that they only made one of, like holographic NFT, selling his patches of like, I got shot in this shirt. He's like, buy my NFT and you can get a little clip out of my suit that I got shot in for $50,000. It's like, who is this guy? Let me know what you think in the comment section. But I can't lie, I love that video. I'm going to go watch it another time and order food because I'm starving. Appreciate y'all.